All right, Lecca, we are back for another episode of the Rodcast, mate, and this episode is brought to us by Daiwa. The legends at Daiwa have gotten behind us in 2026, and you are holding a special bit of kit that they are releasing very, very soon, mate. What do you got there?
They got some huge releases this year. I'm holding their premium bait caster. This is the 26 Ryoga. Comes in 100 and 150 sizes, 6 kilos of drag. I love my bait casters. This thing is smooth as butter. Cannot wait to get it out on the water.
That does not surprise me one bit, mate. That thing's full of premium JDM, Japanese Daiwa technology. I think I'm going to have to add one to my kit as well, mate. That is a bloody nice reel.
Make sure you guys support Daiwa because they support the Rodcast. Now let's rip into this episode.
Let's get into it.
Tall Tars, we are back. And today's episode, we've got something a little bit different, Rothy. We got a bit more of a specialist in the hot seat and someone who I'm only just meeting for the first time, but I've known for a little while on social media. He's mates with a lot of my mates. We got Jono Ellis, guru Barra fisherman from up around that Derby area. He's down in Perth for a little bit, and it's pretty easy to spot the Derby bloke, mate, because it's 40 degrees and I'm sweating my balls off, and he's sitting here in jeans. So,
it's just crazy,
mate. Welcome.
Cheers, guys. Cheers for having me.
Yeah, Derby raised, but you're living in Broome.
Born in Derby. I lived there 24 years. I schooled in Broome, and then I moved to Broome.
Oh yeah, nice.
So yeah,
Sweet.
Got a bit of heat for that Broome local post
Nice.
you put up last night.
Oh, did you?
I?
You throw him under the bus.
Yeah, well, I just said Broome local. Like you said, I hadn't met Jono before. I just assumed you were from Broome.
Yeah, pretty big rivalry there.
I
Broome and
apologise. Stitch you up. So we start every episode, bro, with the last fish you caught. Can I have a wild guess? Was it a barra?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
What? And what? So how big was it?
It was only, I think it was 89 or something, but we got it on lure off the scope, but it was in floodwater, so it's filthy.
Yep.
And it was. We don't really measure them. We just we have a sticker on the side of my boat, and it's the old wreckfish sticker.
Yep.
We kind of just unhook it, just kind of like
Gauge it.
Yeah, about that
gauge it,
big.
and then just throw him back.
Well, when it's fucking 87 centimetres and I see some of the fish that you land, I'm surprised you even put it on the sticker, mate. I'd be, only measuring 120s, I think.
Some of the fish you got on your Instagram, man, pretty impressive. So
I want to, before we move on from that, you mentioned first rains in the floodwater, and actually going out and having a stab at fishing. How does that affect the fishing around Derby? Because we fish that Kununurra, Pentecost area. We've spoken about it on here before, Rothy, but it completely ruined our trip. Like the fishing shut down.
it's got me wondering, did it ruin it or are we just not clued up enough?
No, it definitely is hard. That black water, the first kind of rain brings all the driftwood and all the trees and rubbish and all sorts, and the water's filthy too. So.
And there's no nutrients, no bait, that's what we figured out, because it looks fishy, but you catch fuck all.
Yeah, and you can see them. You can see the fish cruising around, and you're casting lures at them, and they're just not interested. Still haven't really worked it out. I don't know whether it's because of the oxygen in the water clarity, or they're just kind of getting used to it. But yeah, I've had proper donut sessions as well. I did a similar trip up in Cunners, that build up time, and we got a whole heap of rain. We spent 10 days up there. I think I caught 2 barra under 80 centimetres. So
yeah, right. Hard fishing even for the best of them.
At what time would you say when the rain comes to the build up where it starts going from, all right, the rain's a big negative thing to it's actually...
Yeah, that's a tough one as well. Like I do things how I think things work. I think if you get a couple of tides in and it mixes around a bit, because we're fishing the Fitzroy, so it's the freshies coming down, but then you've also got the huge 11-metre tides that will mix in with it. So big thing is bait too.
So you've got that, what you're saying is there's that salt water and then the fresh water. It's a pretty hard line where it kind of moves in and out. But if you get the tide come in you get the tide come in, flush it up, it sort of dilutes and mixes it a little bit.
Yeah, and I just feel like the fish takes them a bit to get used to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, because we've found, crazy amounts of fish, and then you just cast some lures at them, and they're not even looking at it. They're not even sniffing. They're just stuck on the bottom, or they're just moving through. So
yeah, that's the beauty of fishing with scope. You can see how they sort of behave.
Yeah.
We got a lot of questions on scope come through from our listener questions that I put out last night. I was actually surprised how many listener questions we got overnight, Lec, but we'll get into that anyway. But do you remember your first ever barra? You said you grew up in Derby. Is that where it was?
Yeah, So my old man's pretty old school. He doesn't like boats. He's Derby born and raised as well. So
yep,
it was always thrown out in hand lines. I think I would have been about 4.5 off the Derby jetty. I just caught a nice big thready.
Yeah,
and that was my first good fish that kind of had me hooked. And then from there on out, it's like, finish school, you jump in the car, you jump in the old Suzuki, and you cruise across the Derby Marsh and throw a net in the back and a bucket full of hand lines, and you just sit out until it gets dark. And then he goes, "Yep, right out, we're going." So wind the hand lines in, but my old man's a bit of a hand lining legend.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Just got his hand line.
No, so am I now. Right, yeah.
Have you seen that hand line that Lecca caught that big barra on?
Nah,
it's a big 120, only.
120 pound, 150 pound or something.
Yeah, that's a King of the Pentecost. I got the trophy. We talk about this every episode now, which I don't mind.
I'm never going to hear the end of it.
We did. We'll ask you about the Pentecost a little bit later as well. But we our most recent trip up with Birchie, so it was a last resort thing for me. We'd tried the scope, we've tried bloody trawl and everything, and then I pulled the hand line out, and sure enough, 1.11 m.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. I was pretty happy. It was on a chunk bait too.
Yeah. So I've never used the chunk baits. So hearing that when Birchie was on, I was like, yeah, I might have to give that a go.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if it works as well around Derby. Surely it does.
I'm sure it would. It works for Mulloway out in the surf here. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason why it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Bait's a bait, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So even the guys that fish in the surf, it was. I'm going to start trying rather than just using the fillet now as well. It's like the cutlet thing. Because it's neater on the hooks. So
I'm actually interested in trying the dingle dangle stuff where you put a bit of foam in there.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel that I watch, Zuluk Fishing. They catch those massive South African cob. And the way that he builds a bait is pretty impressive, man. Like he'll spend 10 minutes threading it out, hitting it with like a tenderized, like a butcher's hammer.
Yeah.
Tenderizing squid and bait. And he'll like cut off squid tentacles or the hood and like pretty much build a squid out of various different bait types.
Yeah, right.
I want to give that a go. But as you know, I fuck around with the technical aspects a lot and miss out on having a
Jakey, you're sitting there ADD, bloody getting it to look exactly like a squid while we're all pulling fish in.
The other thing is when you're using stuff like that is you do get your your scavengers, your caddies, your big mud crabs, and they just ruin your bait. So the liveys tend to get away from the bottom a little bit sometimes, and you do get out of that. But the caddies are prolific.
That's actually a good call. Yeah, because I reckon, and there'd probably be, I don't know is there more sharks or whatever in the Derby creeks than?
We still do get a whole heap of black tips. Yeah. But sharks are pretty bad.
I fished Telegraph recently as well, and we got a shitload of sharks in there.
Yeah, mate.
And you get sawfish as well.
Yeah, big sauries. And the bull sharks in Tellies are bad, real bad.
Yeah.
If they'll just cruise around. Especially with the scope, we kind of thought they were following the sonar in the end.
Oh yeah, like the sound wave, the electrical signal, whatever you call it.
Yeah. So we would pull up the Minn Kota, would pull up the pole, start the outboard, would race up 600 meters, drop it back down, scope around, you turn around, you can just see them coming into the screen. They're just. Do you
reckon they're following you?
Yeah.
Or they're just there. They're in such numbers that they're just around.
We did it at Langes once. We tested it. We were like, fuck, how far are these sharks going to swim? And we literally boosted up a K or 600 meters and there they were.
Instantly?
No, they were like, within 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So it's not a very big stretch of the river, but like you can get up and go and get on the plane.
Yeah.
And they were there.
Quite possible they're following you there.
And they're not smacking our lures. It's like they're waiting for us to catch a fish and then they come in.
They're clued onto it.
Yeah.
It's like when you're fishing for the whites and that crayfishing out off here.
Yeah.
You'll go out the back at 3 Mile and sharks just immediately come up to the boat. Whereas outside of that time of year,
you don't really see them.
No,
I didn't see any yesterday. And what you're talking about with the crays, I went and pulled the pots with my brother Sammy and we had 5 bronzies circling the boat on one pot pull.
Yeah.
They're there. They know you're there.
It's insane. There is a huge shark problem in Broome as well.
Yeah. It's even coming down here, man.
Yeah.
Have you got any techniques to get away from that, or you just cop it?
Nah, just cop it. Wind them in fast, net them fast, get them in green. But the biggest thing is like if you do land a big fish, you gotta release them. You got to get them away from the sharks.
Yep.
You see it all too often. fish hasn't been released properly and it's in half next time you see it, or the next morning you see it, and it's So,
the crocs at Fitzroy and Telegraph and Langes are pretty friendly as well.
Yeah, and they're, I don't know whether people feed them or, shit stir them, but they do come up to the boat. And had a mate message me last week saying that he had a salty smack the side of his boat. He wound his lines in and went home. Like, he was pretty scared.
Pretty rattled.
Mate,
Yeah.
So me and Nath, Rob, who I know you know, he was your, what was he? Your trade assistant. He was your bitch when you were at welder.
Yeah.
He's going to hate that. But yeah, I fished with him a lot, and we camped in the fish trap in my boat on Telegraph and fished all night. We didn't get any barra. We got a couple of saw sharks and then some threadies at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was just like fished a little bit, and then we ended up staying awake until sun's coming up, and we'd seen every croc that night with the torch. So like you can see the eyes everywhere. You sort of keep an eye on where they are. And then the next morning, as the tide was pushing in, this big, like black, dark looking crocodile would come in, obviously with the tide, and it was just 20 meters from our boat, and you could see its tail just punching into the tide, like just watching us. And I remember Nath going, "Have a look at this cheeky bastard."
Yeah.
Mate, and literally same thing. I put the drone up, it spooked it, and then we sort of forgot about it. And 15, 20 minutes later, it come up half a meter from the back of the boat and just like growled at us.
Yeah.
What, like jumped out of the water?
Like its head. So our live bait bucket was on one side. Nath was fishing on that side. I was at the back of the other boat. So like here to you from where Nath was, its head, it would have been 3.5 meters. Its head come up. So like if he was washing his hands or whatever, he would have tapped it on the head, and it come up, and it was like, it made like a hissing, growling noise, like shh, and then Nath just tapped it on the head.
Oh, we spoke about this on Owen Douglas's episode. Yeah. He was saying that it might have been like
a territorial thing.
Yeah, like the dominant male in the area.
And he
was there.
Tapped it.
Yeah, he was there for a couple of years actually.
That croc?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I got a few photos of him out of the water and stuff, but I got a funny story actually. It's not that funny, but I used to sneak off after work when I was working in Broome. I'd knock off and I'd tell the missus I'm going to go for a couple of hours, and she goes, "All right then." And I'd go to Telegraph solo, and I'd launch the boat solo. So I'd just kind of reverse, the boat in and the trailer, drop it into the axles, and then I'll just leave the trailer in the water.
Yeah.
So when I fished around, I could just come straight back in, hook it up.
And you didn't really have to get off on the
So
bank.
this is like a Wednesday, sometime in November or something. So it was hot. No one was out there camping. It was just me at Telegraph, which is unheard of. And
is that because the crocs? That's why it's unheard of, or
it's just a busy spot. It's a busy spot, and so I've launched the boat of on the Minn Kota, fishing around, flicking around on the scope, and then caught a few little rats and that, but nothing hectic. And it's 11 o'clock. I was like, oh, I'm gonna head home, and I was Minn Kotaing to the boat, and I was like, is that the reflective for my from my
number plate
and the brake lights? And I was like, nah, that's sitting about 500 mil off. And surely enough, that croc's sitting at my trailer waiting for me to.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I've got a video of it. I'll have to send it to you because it's like
that's not funny at all.
Because I was like, what am I going to do? Like, if I got done or screamed for help or something,
you're on your own.
I'm on my own there, and
But so he's just like, obviously it's come up to see if anyone's
hanging
around the trailer.
He's sitting about 500 mil off the number
back
plate.
of the trailer.
Yeah. He's sitting there waiting for me to put the boat back on.
No way.
And it was the darker croc. Yeah, I've got some photos of him out of the water and stuff. He was there for a long time, and I believe he's been shot now. He's not there. So
yeah, right.
Because he was problematic.
Oh, not too sure, but there is like the territorial crocs within that area.
Yeah.
They have like their own spots. There's a massive one at Langes, which is,
Langes is freshwater as well, right?
Yeah, it's brackish, so the tide does push in there, but there's a monster there.
Yep.
Yeah, he sits on that old crossing.
Yep. Yeah, where the like wooden beams.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And he's a monster. So it's
we talk about crocs and even sharks as well quite a bit on this potty for a fishing podcast, but like reality is it's part of what we do, and I don't think these stories about gnarly crocs or sharks is ever going to get old. It always makes me a little bit like,
like a story, Mick Embley, who's a mate of mine and sort of introduced me to that fishing around Derby and cuttings and all those sort of spots. I would go fishing with him, and coming from down here, I'm like, you don't go near the water. And then my first experience is he's waist deep, crossing like Bait Creek, getting
he's the worst for it.
Yeah, he's going to get eaten. And so then I start getting more relaxed, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll come and hold the bucket. And one of the times I went with him was further up from Red Rocks. I forget where it was, but there was like a little feeder creek, and it would have been 30 meters wide, and he's walked across waist deep, and he's like, you can walk the long way if you want, or you follow me. And I was like, all right, I'll follow you. And then went across. We had a shit day fishing, but came back same way. And then I reckon the next day he sent me a video. He was back out there, and he's like, see where we crossed? Have a look at that. And there was like a 4 meter croc sitting there.
Yeah.
And that was the first croc I'd seen in that sort of stretch of the river. I'd never seen him around cuttings and that before. But then as the crow flies, when I went and fished Telegraph, there's crocs everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not far at all, hey?
You'd be blown away with the amount of people that you see swimming in that river as well. It's far out. Like it's one day I actually had to tell someone to get out because I was like, he's going to get done.
You were worried.
He's floating on his back in the middle of cuttings pretty much, and I'm just like, like I was yelling at him. I was like, just get the fuck out, because he was going to get grabbed, So and there's big crocs everywhere on the Fitzroy. So
if you don't know, you don't know, do you? Like,
but
that's why
you see him the next day in town. You go, hey mate, you remember me yelling at you to get out of the river? He's like, nah.
On the piss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what I said to Mick. I was like, you fucking, mate, my life was in your hands, mate. I was like trusting you. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, we're right.
Not like you're yelling at him to be a dick. You're yelling at him because you don't want to see him die.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And it's like there's other people around. There's kids around. There's one of my mates, Aidan Archie, he's a bit of a gun fisher as well. He set up right where you and Nath caught them threadies.
Yep.
At cuttings, and he set his tent up where his car was, and there was just a slide mark come up, checked his tent out, and then slid back down.
Oh my God.
And he woke up in the morning. He was actually solo as well.
Oh.
It's like they know that there's no one around.
Yeah.
Like, he does the same thing. He'll go out on a school night and there'll be no one out there. And
they're cunning bastards,
yeah, I'll have to get him to send that photo because it's, that's scary. That's scary.
So do you ever, while we're talking now, we might as well get into your setup as well. So you mentioned you got a tinny, and we really want to touch on this Livescope stuff as well, because you have, I wouldn't say pioneered, but like you've really dialed it in that region, and you've caught a fuckload of massive barramundi.
Yeah.
Before you tell us through your setup, do you ever see crocs in that on the scope?
All the time. You can see him. You can see him stalking you. You can see him swimming past. You can see him which way they're facing when they're coming under the boat. Like it's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the setup, as a local, couple of tips for people that are going up there, because we've just spoken about like wading through the river. We should mention, don't fucking do that.
Yeah, don't
people.
do it
if you're going up there, don't. We spoke about it on the Birch episode too. It's not fucking worth it. There's always a way around it. If you feel like you're going to miss out on a certain part of the tide or the best fishing's there, you need to do what you got to do to fucking get a fish. It ain't worth it, so don't do it. But what are a few things that you do as a fisherman when you're on your boat, whether it's releasing fish or maybe you don't stand on the edge of your boat? What are a few little things that you do to just make sure that you can come home at the end of the day?
The biggest thing for me is, just keep your limbs in the boat, stay away from the edge, all that, pretty simple stuff. But when I release my fish, it's usually you get them in as quick as you can, green or whatever. You take a quick photo and you just spear him back in, and that's worked for me.
Still got all your arms.
Yeah, I don't recommend swimming them alongside the boat and holding your arm out. Like it's just, I actually have had a couple of smaller crocs come up and whack the barras out of our hands. That was in the earlier days. So it's like, it's pretty scary. You start going to real remote spots too. Like it's just not worth it.
Yeah. And launching your boat, you said you leave your trailer halfway in the water. You still do that or?
Nah, I don't think I've been solo since. So
okay. So you fish with somebody.
Yeah, that was a bit touch and go. That was like a bit of not a wake up call, but it was like shit. They know what's going on.
Yeah, they're smart creatures.
Yeah,
even sitting on your gunnels and stuff like that as well.
I just wouldn't. Have you seen the Adelaide River tours? Like them crocs, they can jump. They can.
Where they hold the
jumping. I did that tour. That to me, so I'd seen crocs in the wild and everything before that as well. But that, if you ever get the chance and you're up around Darwin, do that Adelaide River croc tour, because what surprised me is how fast they come off the bank.
Yeah.
So what they do with these tours is they drive down the middle of the river and the crocs are all tuned to it and they know they're going to get a feed. So you'll see the big crocs on the bank and then they skirt off the bank, disappear, and then you'll think, oh, I'll probably count to 15, 20 seconds and they'll be by the side of the boat. And same thing as what happened to us. It is half the time that you think it's going to be, and then they just head pops up on the side of the boat. And then they hold up the baits or whatever, and you'll see how high they can get. And they easy get 6 foot out of the water.
Oh, just years of evolution.
Yeah, mate. They're a wicked creature.
Have you seen that video just on like not releasing fish boat side? Have you seen that video of the dude releasing in America? He's releasing, I don't know what he's releasing, fish. And a shark comes up and bites the fish out of his hands and gets a hold of his pinky.
No.
But it does a full death roll and just twists his pinky up. It's fucking horrible.
No,
it's going viral there for a bit. But anyway, back to your boat setup, bro. So what hull are you running, and what hull are you running?
I just run an old 420 Renegade.
Yep.
I've just kitted out. Just I found in Derby. My uncle actually owned it. Floor was rotten, carby was blocked. Had an old 2-stroke on it. Anyway, I got it for a bit of a steal and slowly did it up. But it's just 420 Renegade. I think it's 2014. Put a new donk on it and put some marine ply in it and made a bit of a cast deck stereo. And it's just got the electronics. That's my number one thing is I love running the
same size boat as mine.
Yeah, the 420s are good all rounder. That's what I found when you go up in that region. You'll see a boat drive past that's probably worth about $2,000 and it's got $20,000 worth of electronics on.
Nice.
Start to see a bit more of that. But I can launch it by myself and retrieve it by myself. So
tiller, side console?
Nah, it's a tiller. Got a 60 on the back. So she gets up and boogies and
mine goes with a 50, a 60 it'd fly.
Yeah, I got the Merc CT. So
and what about your electronics package? Talk us through that.
Oh, not so much. It's not really a package. It's just a min coder really at the front, which is my Lecca, and then I just run the Garmin 16 with the Livescope and a GT56 on the back. So it's just a sonar.
Yep.
And that's your 1 meg transducer too. You get pretty clear. I've seen some mental side imaging and down imaging with that GT56 transducer.
Yeah, they are
pretty
good.
Impressive.
But one thing that the scope doesn't do is it doesn't read the depth. So if you run the transducer on the back, it shows on the screen how deep you are as well. So that's a handy thing to know.
So before we get into the Livescope and ask you too many questions, probably should explain what it is to a lot of people that don't know what it is.
Yeah. So if you're not sure what Livescope is, there's various sounder manufacturers adopting live technology into their sonar readings. So pretty much what it is you put a transducer in the water, it's on a pole, and you can direct the transducer in a particular direction. And let's say you've got a fish in front of you, you can actually see that fish swimming in live time. So you can cast a lure out in front of it, you can twitch your lure, you can see your lure moving, you can also see the way the fish reacts. So that's pretty much the layman's
as opposed to like a still image of what you've driven over or a side scan, which is just a still image of what you've passed. It's like an ultrasound when your missus is having a baby or whatever, and you're watching the baby move around.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, you can actually see the mannerisms of a fish, and also casting your lure. You'll be able to watch your lure swim past and see if the fish is going to take it.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I use a like perspective mode, which is like the Landscope version. So it's a 170 degree beam. And just
that's wide, man.
Yeah, so I think it's 170. Yeah, it's 170, I'm pretty sure. And I just stand up the front. I've got the screen in front of me, or I sit on the camp chair behind me and just pull the screen out. And it's a lazy man fishing when you're doing it like that and you're sitting down casting. But you just cruise around the Lecca, you cruise up the snags, and it's good fun. I love the chase. It's no guessing. It's like you can see the fish that's cast at the fish kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's a funny one with fishing, like you said. It's like it's cheating, and you seen that video.
There's purists that'll talk shit. Who cares?
Well, it's not for everyone, but it is for a lot of people, and like it obviously has helped your fishing in terms of catching big fish. It's that meme video of that old guy that's like, "What is this bullshit? I'm supposed to know where the fish are and where they hide." And He's like, that's fucking cheating. Like it's hilarious. Like the old school guys would hate it, but for you, how has it changed your fishing? Has it ruined it for you in a little way where you'll go up to a snag with hope and you'll just, before you even put a cast in, you'll be able to swing this thing around and just know that there's no fish there or there is fish there?
Yeah, in a sense, my understanding is like I have done the years and years of bait fishing and the wading, and like that was awesome. That's exhilarating as well. But now it's like I work a full-time job. I haven't got as much time. So it's like now this is saving me a lot of time because I just find the good tides, good times to go. You check the weather, you go dunk your boat in, you have your best chance in that amount of hours you've got. So it's like, yeah, it's I love the chase as well. So, but yeah, a lot of people they're on the fence about it. They think it's cheating and you shouldn't be able to see the fish and cast at them. But I can tell you right now, it's not as easy as just putting the pole in and.
We spoke about that yesterday. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, sort of like you just said, it's not as easy as you think. It's the same with side scan. It took me a while to figure out side scanning mulloway in the river. As you know, that's sort of my bread and butter. But it took me a while to actually figure out what a mulloway looks like, how to dial in the settings, how to dial in the contrast, what different frequencies did for certain distances and that sort of thing. I can assume it's only the same with Livescope. Was there a misconception that you had maybe going into it to when you actually got live technology on your boat where you were like, oh, fuck, that's not as easy, or I got to change that? Like, what was something that you thought would just happen straight away?
I purchased it a few years ago, and I actually had the hummingbird stuff, and I was struggling big time with trying to get the live sonar to work on that. So I ended up giving up on the live and going back to bait fishing, just blight and casting. And then I sold the hummingbird gear because that had the best side scan at the time.
Yeah.
And then
Mega Chirp or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was real good. So I ended up selling all that, and then I went to the Garmin and just had a bit more of a play around. They had a few more settings and real clear kind of settings. So yeah, just went from there and
managed to catch a shitload of fish.
Pretty much, yeah. It was. I wish it was that easy, but yeah, I spent a lot of time with the settings and stuff. And then some of my mates started to get them. Tommy White, he's a gun. He's a bit behind the scenes. He doesn't like posting anything. He stays under the radar, but he's a gun fisho.
So what changed though, going from Hummingbird to Garmin? Was it just a clearer image?
Just
was
a clear image.
To use?
I pretty much couldn't see anything on the Mega.
Yeah, okay.
In the dirty water. I want to put it down to that. I think Hummingbirds like more so bass, like clear lakes and stuff. So
very American.
Yeah, struggled big time with that. But I think they've brought out the Mega Live 2 now, and I think it's a fair bit better. So.
Yeah, right.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit as well, because I've just put it on my boat, and the way we were using it up around, the Pentecost, and it's the only time I've really used it, and around Wyndham, it was like we didn't really know the creeks, was sort of in and out, and what we were doing is we would pull up to like a little inlet or whatever, we would scope it, it would seem like there was no fish, and we sort of kept moving. In the past, being around Derby, I've seen guys set up where they know fish are going to come, and they've just sat there and had the scope out and waited for the fish to come in before they cast.
Yeah.
What sort of technique do you think is better, or what do you do? Do you move a lot, or do you set up somewhere where you know the bait and the fish are going to come through and then sit there and wait for them to come before you cast?
Yeah, so I don't actually run the anchor at all or sit still. But I just cruise around. There's usually a bit of a loop or a bit of a stretch that I do, and I just kind of go back and forth and then, switch over the other side. But it was actually my biggest barra caught was at Telegraph, right at the pole actually.
Yep.
And it was kind of when I first started using the live, or like I was just starting to get the knack of it. And me and my mate were sitting there casting at some small fish on a rock bar, and he kind of looked over at me and said, "Imagine if that thing was a fish." And I've just casted my lure. It was a local made lure as well, which made it quite special. Kurt McCartney from up in Kununurra, he makes the big bonies and all that. But I just cast it. I just slowly wound it past this huge blob on the screen, and surely enough, whacked it, and it comes straight up out of the boat, and I shit myself pretty much.
Did you see it eat it on the screen?
Yeah. So it was just sitting. It sat there
stationary.
It sat there the whole time while we were casting out these smaller fish, and I just slowly went past it thinking it was a big blob or a big rock, and this rock started moving, and whack
so
the
the
lure.
penny dropped for you at that moment. It was
like we were casting over this fish for 10 minutes, and it was just sitting there the whole time. So it's crazy. So now more so you're moving the pole, you could actually see what's in front of you, what's further. You can put the range out to 30 meters. You can bring it into 8, and you can really get your lure like on the top of their nose if you're good.
Right. And how big was that fish?
That was a 121.
Fuck, that's big. Yeah, that's a monster.
That's a good one for West Kimberley. Yeah.
Yep.
You hear of a couple getting caught a year. Nothing like East Kimberley. That's another day for the East Kimberley.
Yep. So when you're putting a cast in, if you see a fish on scope, because I've heard the stories, unless you put your lure in the right spot, like are you aiming for their nose or where are you aiming for?
So on the screen, there's degree increments, or you can use meter increments in the squares, but I use the radius with the increments of the angle. So if you see a fish at 15 degrees, your sonar's facing 0. So if you cast 15 degrees from your pole, you can kind of get it close, and then you can rod tip left, rod tip right, and just kind of get that lure right into the mouth or the way the fish is heading. But it's amazing tech.
You can spook them too, eh? If you put
big
your lure
time.
in the wrong spot.
I've had other trips like that, and you can cast a lure 10 meters past these fish and they're gone.
Yeah,
they're just picking up everything. And
what about your retrieval? So you can see speed. You've got different types of lures. Obviously, you got paddle tails, you got big minnows, you got swim baits. So there's lots of different stuff that you can use. Do you find that you change up your retrieves and that sort of thing if you swim it past them, you don't spook them and they don't eat, they don't show any interest? Are you changing a lure? Are you changing your retrieve? What's the
stubborn fish like that? You usually throw a few lures at them, but you give them a fair chance. You'd probably throw it, 10 times, and then you might think about changing. But I'm a big fan of the fizzers, the top water stuff. That's my favourite style of fishing. So if they're not moving for a fizzer, usually they're not keen.
Right, so that's pretty reliable lure, is it?
Yeah, well, what with the areas we fish, because we don't fish anything deeper than 2 meters, 2.5 meters. So
wow,
we do run the big heavy.
Is that mainly at night?
Yeah, I do majority of my fishing at night.
Yep.
Easier to see the screen. It's cooler. You're not getting sunburnt. You're not getting heat stroke. The bigger fish are out cruising around, stalking. So
that was Birchie's theory, was the bigger fish will come in the shallows at night. Would you back that up?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're smart. That's why they're big.
I back that for mullies too.
Yep.
It's just you're tired in the morning or whatever, but it works. Your body actually likes it better. You're not sitting in the sun.
Yep.
Well, that's my theory. That's the way I like to do it. But I'm pretty black and white. I'll run a rod with a fizzer on it, and then I'll run a rod with a big placky.
Yeah.
And then just switch between them.
Yeah. So fizzer's the one with the propeller on the back, and it makes like a pop every time it turns on the water.
Yeah.
Is there a specific one of those that you like best?
I use the Raptor fizzers.
Yeah.
Yep. They're I've pretty much caught all my big fish on the Raptor fizzers. They're cheap, they're easy. I change the hooks out and I run like a longer treble and a swivel on the back, so it kind of sits in the water angled. Feel like I get a few more conversion rate on that.
Oh, yeah, so your hook's a little bit below the surface of the water.
Yeah, so it sits out about 50 mil past the lure, but then it tilts the back of the fizzer into the water.
Yep.
And then you just run like a light tip rod and kind of make some splashes.
Action. What trebles are you running?
BKK Vipers, I think they're the 2.0s.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, the fizzers are good because you can, once you cast them on the screen, because they hit the surface and make a bit of a nice splash, you can see it straight away, and then you can see it coming in and you can see the fish coming towards it. So it's a
the bite on a fizzer would be way better as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You just get that surface strike, mate. Yeah. Nothing better. I've caught a few barra on poppers at night, and it's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Man, that video that you've got on your Instagram where you've got a banana on the end of a stick and you lower it into the water. Like, I watched that yesterday. It actually scared the shit out of me. I think I was sitting at my computer editing another episode and had my headphones on, and it was fucking loud. And the noise that barra made was pretty fucking scary. Imagine if you're not expecting a bite from one.
Yeah, I had a mate that actually pulled that barra out of the pond, one arvo, and that was a 104, and that was probably about 7 years ago. So hopefully it's still there now.
Yeah.
What about for surface lures? Do you find moon phase or anything better than others?
Yeah, I did start fishing a lot to do with the moons, but in the end, it's just you just get out when you can and you just make it work. But full moon, people say, nah, you can't surface, but I've had some of my best fizzing sessions on a full moon, and then complete darkness with a new moon is also good as well. So
I'd imagine a lot of those theories and stuff is now gone out of the window because the technology is so good that you can actually just find the fish anyway.
Yeah. So we're more so just finding the bite times.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it changes. The behavior of the fish are crazy because one day they'll swim 12 meters for a splash and to check it out, what the noise is, or I've had them swim up to the Minn Kota to check what the blade's doing. Like some days you can't even get within 20 meters of them. They're just so spooky.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of live, isn't it? It's not always like I'm here to catch them.
Well, like I said, you can save a lot of time because if you dunk your boat in and you see that, you can be like, I'm wasting my time here.
Yeah. Well, the learning curve too.
Yeah.
You're learning what they don't like, what they do like, what they respond to on certain times. And if you can marry it all up and keep a bit of a catch journal, I think your progression is going to be pretty bloody quick. That's what I really want to get live on my tinny for the Mulloway, but I reckon that's the biggest thing is just learning.
Yeah, it is good fun.
Are you using it when the boat's moving with the electric?
Yeah, so I run the Minn Kota remote on my neck usually, and then either I'm standing at the pole, so I'll be using electric to kind of face the pole where I want to go, because 9 times out of 10 I'm fishing with someone, so they're with me as well. So it's just I find it easier to keep the pole on 0, and then maneuver the boat so he kind of knows where to cast as well, because if I'm moving the pole 90 degrees right, 0 is going to be over here. So he's going to be looking at the screen like, oh, where am I casting?
So he knows. So like with some of those shallower sections of the reef, the river that you're fishing, you'll just cruise up a riverbank until you see fish?
Pretty much. We'll kind of hang off a little bit because you can pick up a fair distance of them. So you can kind of see them coming off, if they are getting spooked, you can kind of see them coming off the shallows or moving around. So then if you do spot a big one, like you see a nice big metery or something, you just kind of stalk him and follow him. You just keep doing laps and following him until he has the nib.
Is that a true story? I reckon I was talking to Maxie Sampson about you one time, and he said that you went in, dumped your boat in a pool that you thought was going to get landlocked overnight and scoped the whole section, and there was no fish in there and you didn't even put a cast in, but you were stuck in there for a few hours. Is that a true story?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Sounds like it may have happened more than once.
Yeah, that's something I do. Yeah, I do some pretty rogue stuff, but 9 times out of 10 it works. So
yeah.
Funny story with Maxie. Yeah, we didn't even get to the fishing spot. That's how close we got to the pool.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. He's done some funny things. He's dropped all his ram mounts from the pole. He's just dropped them in the drink, so we can't even use the pole.
I heard he had some theories where he was throwing rocks at fish when they wouldn't bite. Have you ever tried that?
I wouldn't put him past him that way. Yeah. We used to do that with sinkers or the river rocks.
Yeah.
My old man used to do it. He used to, if we weren't catching anything, he'd throw these flat rocks up and mimic like a barraboof.
Yep.
And sometimes it actually worked.
Brings them in.
Yep. So, or he'd scare the mullet off the bank with the river rocks, and then the mullet would swim out and they'd get smashed, and then it kind of fires them up a little bit. But then he started throwing the flat rocks out near where our baits were, and you'd laugh at the amount of times it's worked.
It'd bring the fish in.
Wow. They just swim up and they just want to have a look, or
inquisitive.
Yeah.
Nothing gets you more excited than when you're chasing liveys off the bank when you're up there and you throw the cast net and all the baits swim out into the deeper water and all you hear is poof, 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 poof when there's this barra. They've been waiting out there for them to move, and you spook them and they just go nuts, mate. It gets you so excited.
Hey, one last question on these barra and lures. We were talking about how dirty the water is when we were up there and talking about colour, basically. Do you put much, aside from surface lures, it's a bit of a different kettle of fish, but if you got a big placky or a swim bait or even a bib minnow or whatever, are you putting much attention into colour for certain water conditions?
Yeah, definitely. We don't really get enough clarity up there in the Fitzroy. It will go like a bluey greeny, but you'd have to fish during the day to get any colour. You know what I mean? So no, I don't really worry about the colour too much. But I have heard you want to run your natural colours, your browns and your whites and stuff like that with the clearer water. But with the dirty, you run bright. But I'm honestly think it doesn't matter. If you put a lure in front of a fish, they're going to, and they want it, they're going to get it.
Got a good action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vibration. I'm big on contrast too. That theory kind of sits pretty well with me. That it's not so much about color; it's about the contrast with, on a full moon.
Yeah, definitely.
You can run a darker lure because it's going to run a silhouette. So especially if you're topwater as well. Like I'll run typically darker topwater lures. Like I don't like a white popper.
Yeah.
Or a silver bottom popper. I like a red bottom or a black bottom on a popper, because you think about the way that the fish is looking up, the sun's behind it. It's kind of how like you think a great white shark might see if it's going to smack you from the bottom. It's not going to see what color your skin is. It's just going to see a big black silhouette.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same theory.
But in the same token, I could put my hand in the water 50 mil and I won't even be able to see it. Like, that's how dirty some of the water is up there. So
yeah, you never know what fish see, really, do you?
I'm going to ask you, because I know you've fished a bit around where Birchie fishes, up around Kununurra, East Kimberley or West Kimberley. You had one day to fish, where are you going?
East Kimberley.
Yeah?
Just for the plus size fish.
Bigger fish, eh? What's the biggest fish you've pulled out of the Pentecost?
I got a 120 with the missus and dog last year. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And you ever see the Barra King sitting on the banks up there, or what?
Yeah, got a bit of a funny story with Birchie. Well, I thought it was Birchie anyway, but we were fishing the Apex comp last year, and I was the same thing. I was kind of messaging Birchie, asking if we could, launch at Home Valley or stay there as well. And he's like, yeah, we'll be there as well. So we'll probably see you. Anyway, we had a few rumbos. We're pretty excited to be there. And I think it would have been about 1 o'clock at night. We're like, fuck, we'll go see Birchie. We'll pull up, see how he's going. We seen an 80 series on the bank. We're like, it's definitely Birchie.
It's got to be Birchie.
It's got to be Birchie, 100%.
Anyway, pulled up on the bank, and I'm stumped, trying to get up out of the boat. And I'm yelling out, Birchie. And they're all kind of looking at me. I'm like, how you going? You caught any fish? And one lady yelled it back at me, going, we're not Birchie.
Fuck off. Yeah.
So we're like, fuck. Tangled all their lines and our props and fucking all sorts. It was a show. Yeah, we didn't show face the next day, but I do fish that same stretch as Birchie a fair bit, and he's good. He's real helpful. I usually sing out to him and ask him how it's been fishing before I drive up. But I love East Kimberley. It's
Is there a certain time of year where you'll try and hit the East Kimberley, or?
I don't know a whole heap about the East Kimberley, but I think it's the same thing. Like first kind of flush, that black water coming down isn't the best time to fish. I've done that twice now.
Wish I knew that 3 months ago.
Yeah, thanks. Cheers, Birchie, for giving us those dates. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
So what's the best time of year so if we got lots of people down here in Perth or from over east or whatever that want to go and fish the Kimberley, they want to get a Barra. What is the best time of year they should go in your experience?
Yeah, build up is good, but October, November. But my favourite time of the year is usually after the wet, so like your April, May. And it does become quite popular. It's just because the cooler weather is coming in, you can go camping. I don't know if you have camped out on the river in the wet season, but it's torture.
Yeah,
the bugs, the heat. You're just pretty much sitting in your swag in an oven. So
and when you put the head torch on, it's just like bugs bouncing off your forehead. Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, Birchie would be pretty good boat to know with the aircon cabins.
Exactly. Yeah, we like to say we're roughing it when we go fishing with him, but we're pretty
luxury,
man. I remember the first time I went up in that sort of same time of year. What you're talking about was with Mick Embley. It was in April, and we fished. Everything was still wet, but we just got heaps of fish. Like you said, it's uncomfortable. Birchie's theory is no bugs, no bites.
Yeah.
You got to put in that first bit of time in after the sun goes down, the bugs come out, but they tend to go away after a few hours.
They do. The mozzies can be quite bad too, which is not ideal.
Yeah. But so if you are looking to go up and doing the Gibb River Road or whatever, and my advice would be to get there early before it opens and spend a bit of time around those creeks like the Fitzroy and stuff like that. I'm just going to clog up your spots here at the best time of year, but that's when you want to be going up there chasing the Barra. If you want to give yourself a good chance and then go on holiday from then on out.
That's the runoff too, isn't it? That's when they're all stationed up in front of drainage points.
Yeah, we don't really get a runoff at the Fitzroy.
Okay.
We do call it the runoff period, but there's no flood water coming into the river. It's all in the same river coming down from the Fitzroy catchment. So
okay.
But yeah, the water's still hot, the bait's still around, there's fish everywhere. So yeah.
Have you done much around Campbell? Do you do much freshwater stuff?
I've dribs and drabs. Same thing when I was a kid. We used to go out there and go cherubing and stuff, but
not as many big fish there, eh?
Nah. You want to be in the salt for the bigger ones in the West Kimberley, I think. So that's just the way that's my theory anyway. I have heard of monsters coming out of the fresh, but it's few and far between.
What about Derby as opposed to Broome? Because I know we're talking a lot about the Fitzroy, which is closer to Derby, and it's a pretty famous system. Are there any, without giving away any creeks, I know, is there Dampier Creek and stuff in Broome? Are there many big fish caught around there?
Yeah, there's a few big fish caught every year. Usually around Christmas time, there's a couple of meteries that come out of Dampier, but few and far between.
Yep.
Yeah. So I usually just jump in the car. I don't even worry. I don't really even fish in Broome. I live in Broome, but jump in the car and drive to Derby or drive to the Fitzroy.
And you mentioned the tides earlier, and that system is such a good system because it's constantly replenished with bait, with big fish and stuff like that. That's how they're coming in and out?
Yeah, that's it. So somewhere like Cuttings is, they'll get a tide on a 9.5 metre, will push into there, that's pretty much most tides. Our neeps aren't very neep. They're,
yep.
You might get like a small 6 metre tide, 7 metre tide, but it won't push into there. It'll just pull up until the next day until it pushes in. So it'll pull up for 1 or 2, 3 days a month, maybe.
Yep.
Wow.
So the tides are the other thing before we move on with the Barra. So for someone fishing off the bank, my experience in the past is you sort of want to be fishing the dead part of the tide. Like it was like low tide to the start of incoming or around sort of high tide, because obviously if you're throwing lines off the bank and you've got those massive tides coming through, you're able to keep your lines and your baits out. Is that affected much with scope? Can you fish through those conditions, or like do you catch more fish when the water's moving? What works better for you?
Yeah, it does. It depends on the height. Like if you've got 11 metre tide, it is racing in. It's pretty much a small little wave that comes in.
Yep.
There is fish in the wave, but the water's so murked up as well. It's so dirty. So the scope doesn't actually pick up very good at all in the silt. So when the tide comes in, you practically can't even use the scope.
Okay.
So we kind of just we'll go make some lunch or go make some dinner or sit around. Sometimes you have a lay down, have a few hours kip while the tide's coming in, and then once it starts to settle, we'll jump up and we'll get fishing again.
Yeah, right. I've always wondered why people don't use it in the salt water more. Like I reckon it would work for an inshore snapper fishery or something like that.
So how deep
people
is it?
Don't really.
Is it because of the depth?
I don't know. I'm just thinking now it could be because of the sediment that's in the water.
Yeah, it could be a lot of that. I think it does up to 30 foot.
In depth?
In depth.
It's quite deep.
But I do believe they do a bigger one. But I'm not too sure the model on that. But
so Swan River Mulloway, what do you reckon? Would it be worth?
Yeah, like same thing. Maxi Sampson, a few of the Broome boys have come down and they've actually had a shot at it, and they could definitely see it. They could see the fish. They couldn't get the conversion or the bite. They just said they would follow the lure, but they wouldn't commit. But yeah, they definitely picked up some.
That's where the learning comes in, though.
Yeah,
like they're there. They're not eating lure, and then the question becomes why.
Yeah,
what do we need to do to figure it out?
And they're all pretty good fish shows. Like they would have given it.
Anyone can get them to eat.
Throw a live bait at them.
Yeah,
Mate, I've got a funny story about live bait. Actually, I was going to tell you this the other day, but I went fishing in the Swan River the other day with
you donged it.
Tim Farnell.
My invite got lost in the mail.
Wow, mate. Sometimes it's not that hard catching mulloway in the river. We only got 5 of them, so. But yeah, I went out with Tim, and I'm still scratching my head. Both of us are. We've both done a lot of fishing. Tell me if you've had anything like this happen, right? We were throwing out baits and we were trying to get live tailor, and we'd lost a couple, but we couldn't get a tailor. And we had a snelled rig with a scaly on it. Right there, mate? Yeah. We had a he's calling bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
We had a snelled rig with a scaly on it, cast it out, and then we had a run on it. And I've picked the rod up, and it was a mulloway run, so it's gone under the boat, and like I've gone to tight on this fish, and pulled the bait out of its mouth and wound it up. And as I've wound it up, I was like, oh, we've got a tailor on. It's a tailor. And kept winding it up, pulled it out of the water, and me and Tim just looked at each other and we were like, what the fuck? It was, so the snelled rig was pinned perfectly, one behind the back of the head, one in the tail, on a tailor that we had a scaly out on. So it's like someone's...
Oh, dive down there and change your life.
We were looking for fucking scuba diver bubbles, man. We were like, he's looked at me and I was like, did you put a fucking tailor on there? Like, you've put that tailor on there and just forgotten about it. And he's like, mate, we haven't been able to get a tailor. And then we look at the tailor and there's mulloway pin pricks all the way up either side of it. So a mulloway has run with a tailor, but somehow this tailor's hooked perfectly as if someone's put it on
with
a line.
Circle hooks?
Yeah, with circle hook. The Vex.
There's not like circles. A J where you can just jag.
Mate, I do not know what happened. But then we were like, well, it can't be a scuba diver because they would have had to known that we don't have tailor and we were trying to. So whether this mulloway has had a dead tailor in its mouth and taken it for a run or it's foul hooked itself perfectly, we basically just threw the bait back out.
No way.
Mate, it was fucking unbelievable. I've never seen. It's not a great story because it's one of those you had to be there sort of moments, but it was like, how the fuck did that just happen?
One of the guys he works at Tackle West, Austin, I've fished with him quite a bit. He uses these Ocean's Legacy Access. Well, I use them too, actually. Yeah. Ocean's Legacy Access swivels. Yeah. He cast a lure out once and was fighting a fish. Taylor, same thing. And he came back with his lure clipped on back to front. So the thing it was all tangled up. So I reckon what's happened is he's cast it, or the tailor's jumped and flipped it or whatever. It's hooked around the line and then the lines ended up going through the hook and then pulling through the hook, unclipping. Same thing.
Mate. It's
fuckery.
It was like, and Mosman's is one of those spots where it's a bit eerie and all the rest of it. And it's sort of like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah.
Oh, there are heaps of divers there.
Well, like I said, I don't think it was.
If anyone's listening and you saw Mark Lecca and Tim Farnell fishing on the fish trap in the river and you fucked with them, let them know because I want to give you a pat on the back, a bit of a plug. That's pretty
mate,
bizarre.
It was crazy.
How'd you go anyway? Give us a recap of that.
Yeah, so we had a good.
Were you fishing with the new Vex live bait clips?
We couldn't get live bait, so we ended up just fishing with dead baits.
Yeah.
And like I said, we had a good run. We ended up getting that tailor, and then later on we removed the fillets and went and actually moved spots, had another go there, and mate, we had a wicked session. It was perfect conditions for it. Tim obviously knows what he's doing, but yeah, we ended up landing, I think, 5 mulloway and nothing really big.
Yeah.
But
what was the biggest?
We didn't measure it all way. It actually ended up keeping the biggest one because it didn't go back.
Yep.
And have you ever eaten mulloway?
Nah, mate.
Yeah, so they're not a desirable fish in my mind. So I've actually got the fillets hanging. I'm trying something different. So I've got the fillets hanging in the cool room. I'm going to leave them there for a couple of days and then I'm going to soak them in milk and see if it gets rid of the fishy flavour, which it's meant to do. So
when saying that, we went over to the Sea-Doo event and Harry Foster, by the way, go and follow Harry on Instagram. Has Foz is his Instagram. He was cooking for us at that event and couple of the Spiros that were there killed a mulloway, shot a mulloway, and he cooked it up in a fish curry, and that was the best fish curry I've ever had.
Yeah.
That was a big mulloway.
Salt water. That was right out in the salt water as well. So this is sort of brackish where we're catching them. Do you eat the Barra? Because I find it's the same sort of thing with the Barra. The salt water, mate, I reckon they're up there with anything if you treat them right.
Yeah, I do like my Barra, but no, I don't usually keep any fish. I usually just like the chase and catching them.
Well, you're not allowed to keep, if you're just chasing big ones as well, you're not allowed to keep them, are you?
No, you're not. So the limit's 80 in WA, but I'll keep one once a month, or if one of the other boys wants to keep them, we'll keep a couple and they'll give me a fillet, but generally I don't keep them.
Yep.
I think if you've got to hang your fish and soak them in milk.
Yeah.
Well, mate, that's what we're going to do down here. No, there's no better options.
You can't catch snappy. You can't catch stewies.
Our table fish, Barra are pretty sustainable fish up there as well.
That's right.
So they are a good option. But I mean, the thing for me is like if it's not releasing, I'm not just going to leave it floating or whatever.
Give it a crack.
Give it a go. So
we talked about it with Tommy too. You got to become a better better cook. Like I said, Haz was able to cook up that mulloway in a way that was unreal. It was unbelievable.
I reckon a curry's a good way of hiding a bit of flavour as well. 100%. So if you're onto it, that might be what I end up doing.
You fished with Tim. We've both been trying to get out with Tim. I know you fished with him off the beach before, but I've been trying to get out with Tim for a while. Our schedules haven't lined up to go for a mully fish in the river. What did you learn?
I learned a couple of things. I don't want to give away all his tips for guys that are going out there. He's onto the tides and timing pretty well. He knows the river really well. He's obviously put a lot of time in. But I didn't learn heaps. He reaffirmed a lot of stuff that I sort of already know. He fishes very simple.
Yeah.
The one thing in the river is you got to be worried about, if you're not fishing liveys, you sort of got to be worried about the crabs and all that sort of stuff. So I would say there's ways that he fishes that get around that. But yeah, get there early. Try and get your liveys if that's the way you want to fish.
Were you burleying up? I know he likes to burley.
Yeah, he definitely burleyed up. Not a lot, not as much as say I probably would burley, but every now and then he had these little burley bomb things that would drop him down on the floor. Yeah. So the burley's under the boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was surprised by how confident he was that we would get a good run as well. Yeah. For me, it's much the same as barra fishing. So I would love to take you out on the river and see, how you read it and how you operate it, Jono, because, that live baiting technique and all that sort of stuff, it's much the same. Just a different way of gathering your liveys. When you're on the Swan, you got to go and catch your baits. And basically, I think Taylor, his favourite option. Yeah. But yeah, just learn to read the tides. We had a good moon rise as well, which was the other thing. He sort of wanted to be fishing as the moon was rising. So
yeah,
is that something that you look at when you're up north?
Not a whole heap. It's usually dawn and dusk. So I generally fish into the night, but a lot of the bites are dawn and dusk. So we just kind of run with that, and that seems to work for us. So we just keep running with that. But yeah, getting into that whole almanac thing, I did try get into that a fair bit, but yeah, it was too unpredictable. It was too all over the joint up in the Fitzroy. Like there's so many different things that can happen.
Yep.
Like rain or hot tide.
It'll fuck you.
Bait, there's so many.
And if you've only got a short window of time as well, you got to make the most of what you got.
That's right.
So I noticed on your Instagram that you chase the odd blue bone as well, or tusky up that way.
Yeah, car must have been broken or something, so I had to.
It's not something you do very often?
Nah. My mate, Benny Lai, he likes doing that kind of stuff, so I usually jump in the boat with him every now and then. And some of the boys had got into the spearing in Broome, so it's just like, had to go at that, but that's not for me.
Nah.
I was hanging on to the gunnels the whole time pretty much. It was fucking scary. Sharks and shit.
There's big sharks up there, eh?
Yeah.
Bull sharks and that.
But yeah, just the blue bone. The fishing is okay in Broome. There is good fish there, but it's just, the sharks are so bad. So it's like, you take 10 rigs, you'll come home with 9.
I agree with you, mate. You nailed it. I would sell the blue water boat if I lived in Broome after I went out with Nath, and we would have done 200 Ks and came home with half a ranking cod and a Spanish flag. I was like, this is fucked.
All because of sharks.
Just sharks, man. It was shocking. But in saying that, we've had some wicked sessions on Mackies and stuff like that. So I reckon I'd be into the sport fishing and stuff if I was up there.
Yeah. Hey, what about Dirk? We've been saving the info from Dirk. You got to give me the recap.
Well, I was wicked, man. It was just went to Dirk Artog Island for a couple of weeks over Chrissy with the family and sort of helped caretake the island. It was, just a cool trip. If you've never been there, I reckon put it on your bucket list. It's 80 kilometres long. Kids were getting whiting and flathead and all on lures, which was epic. And we spent a couple of days out on the boat. So Nath Robb and his family were up there as well and had his boat, but it was just windy at that time of year. But we did unlock a few spots. I feel like Shark Bay is a sort of place where you go where every time I'll do a trip up there, we'll unlock something and learn about it.
Yeah.
There was some I don't want the same thing. I won't give away the spots, but caught a couple of snapper inshore, caught some golden trevally up there inshore, which I hadn't done before, and lost the biggest giant herring I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you're saying that. How big do you reckon it was?
it would have had to have been around the meter.
Did it go nuts?
It went bananas, man. It was like hook this thing and would have peeled 70 meters of line in about 2 seconds and jumped out of the water twice. And because it was so windy and we're fishing inshore, I had a 40-gram metal lure on, and I thought, I'm no chance this thing's going to shake the lure anyway. And I had the drag backed right off as well, and it still bent the hook a little bit.
Yeah, wow.
So it just goes to show how much power, like whether it was the tension of the line cutting through the water and how quick it went.
Yeah.
Even with light drag, man, it blew me away.
What setup were you using?
What did I have? I just had just a little, I think it was a 4,000 reel with just a.
Like you're undergunned.
No, it was plenty. Like I said, I backed the drag right off because I knew they were in there.
Yeah. Do you change your hooks on your lures out of the packet, or do you just kind of run them how they come?
I used to change all my Barra hooks. I forget the name of the. There you go. That one's had the.
Oh, they're owners.
So eagle claw or something?
Yeah, where they're like a bit more of an open.
Yeah, I ran them for a little bit, but I feel like, the hookup rate was shocking.
Yeah, all right. So my first ever meter Barra was on that. It's a little Yozuri lure. That was a meter fish trawling in the Fitzroy.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
They kind of curve back on themselves a little bit too.
Like you say, I think the hookup rate wouldn't be as good, but once you're hooked up, they stay on. But no, I don't really change too many hooks out at the moment. I'm just lazy
I'm
fisherman.
pretty religious with it.
Yeah, I change sharpen your hooks and all that.
Yeah, I got a file that I carry around as well.
Far out. That's keen.
Just with Taylor lures, man. A lot of my favorite Taylor lures are those. They're made for Japanese, like smaller sea bass and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're pretty light gauge to make sure you actually hook the fish. But some of the Taylor in the ground that I'm pulling them out here, and even your kingfish and whatnot, Mulloway as well, you got to put the brakes on a lot of these fish. So I think having a bit of a thicker hook and something like a BKK Viper is mint. I used to change them to the smaller Raptor Z trebles.
Yep.
But they're thick. You really got to like sink the hooks into the fish to actually hook them. So I found I was dropping a lot of fish. Also, they affect the action of the lure quite a bit because they're a thicker gauge hook.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah, I reckon those Vipers are a great hook. But some lures these days, I feel like lure manufacturers are kind of catching on to the fact that fishermen don't just want to have to.
Well, a lot of the lures do come out with the BKKs now, so straight out of the packet, so you don't actually have to change the hook out.
Well, it's a pretty decent expense when you think about it. If you're going through, I don't know about you, but I'm usually losing a lure every couple of sessions. Then you add hooks onto that. It's an extra $5 a lure, really.
Yeah, it's the other good thing about the live is you can actually see the snags and see where you're casting, so you're not getting dodging. Snagged, and so you can see the submerged ones and all sorts. It's pretty cool.
Do you ever use vibes?
I did run vibes for a little bit, but
about getting snagged. There was a big craze with everyone using them up around Broome and that, and then I started casting them, and I get snagged every time you use them.
I
had
I love a vibe. I lose heaps of them.
The worst thing for me with the vibes is the heat up there. So I bought like a nice big vibe box, and filled it full of $300 worth of vibes, and you leave it in your boat for an hour too long, and you open the lid, and it's just slop.
They're all stuck together.
Yeah. Just sucks.
Big tub of jelly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Before we get into the listener questions, which we got heaps of, what have you been up to, Rothy? Because you've been doing a little bit as well. You went out with Goatman yesterday.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of fishing. Truth be told, I've never done as little amount of fishing as I've done over the last 6 months. Like it's actually embarrassing for a guy that's the co-founder of a fishing podcast, but I'm putting in the work behind the scenes to make this for all you guys so you guys can hear about fishing. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit, man. So this time of year, Christmas, I just decided to put my feet up a little bit and cruise. I didn't do too much, but local tailor, just smacking local tailor just along the beaches. There's heaps of mullet getting around, heaps of bait. Just been throwing small lures on sort of your like almost brim gear. Taking a lot of people that haven't been fishing, my mates that don't fish all the time, been taking them fishing a lot. But yesterday I headed out with Goatman, which was sick. So the goal was just to Goatman's boat's off the water, so we took my tinny, and the goal was just to track down some kingies. Didn't find any kingies, but man, there is so many tuna out there at the moment. Like we found a lot of, I don't know if they were Mac tuna or bonito. I took a photo of them. I need to have a look on the Wreckfish app to figure out what they were. But fuck, mate, from pretty much Hillary's Marina all the way to Scarborough along the 3 mile, there was bonito or Mac tuna, whatever, they were everywhere. And we were throwing little micro jigs at them. It was sick fun. Then amongst the tuna was shark mackies. We saw heaps of shark mackies, but just couldn't get them to eat. The bait that they were feeding on, man, was probably like maybe 15 mil, like really tiny. It wasn't white bait. I don't know what bait it was, but very, very, very small. That's why they were eating the micro jigs. So.
Well, I reckon we're on for a pelagic season from hell, man. I reckon it's going to be unreal because even today I was getting messages from my brother who's a cray fisherman out of Savannies. He said, mate, there's dolphin fish everywhere on the floats.
Yeah.
We've had guys starting to get marlin. I reckon the mackies are going to go off. There's going to be wahoo. There's going to be all sorts.
So yesterday, Kurt Crispin, who's got another podcast, I've spoken about him before, Paramount Importance. He's a biologist, does a lot of testing and stuff in the river, but he went out spearing yesterday and got a couple of mackies behind the 3 mile. Goatman spoke to one of his mates. He got 4 mackies himself. Maxie Sampson and a good mate of mine, Sam Smith and Cooper, they went out to the trench. They got 2 yellowfin tuna and a marlin. Dylan Pickin last week got a marlin and a wahoo off Mandra. So I actually saw, I think it was Wagfer posted a graph of the marlin captures over the years. It was over like a 20 or 30 year period. And you look at all the past years and like they fluctuate a little bit, but in comparison to this year and last year, and then I think there was a year back in maybe the 90s where there was like dozens and dozens and dozens of marlin caught. There's 3 massive years where the captures are right up there with both stripes, blacks, blues. I think that's the main 3 they get here.
Yeah.
And the last 2 years are tenfold
massive.
What other years have been. So
part of that, I reckon, is more boats, but also we got the conditions as well. So suits us because we got the Sovereign Blue Marlin Classic coming up, which is a record number of boats.
I'm starting to get excited too.
Yeah.
Mate. How was that
we'll
info
have to get
night?
some travel calm into you because you're saying you get seasick and you can come out and chase the big ones.
How was the info night?
Yeah, the info night was wicked, mate. It's a wicked turnout. Like I said, if you haven't signed up for it, I think this will come out with a little bit of time. Lots of trailer boats, 120 grand worth of prizes, Sovereign Blue Marlin Classic. Get down there. You got the chance to fish against the likes of us, a couple of wood ducks, but like Tommy Miller, Whitey, all the gurus are going to be there.
Band,
yep. So,
all the boys are there.
So come down.
I think last year they had 42 boats or something, and this year they've got, 50 signed up already on the way
at
to
least
60?
I think. So it's going to be epic, mate. It's going to be wicked.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get one. You checked out the boat, that we're going to be fishing on?
We're fishing on the sailing club. We got an old cray boat that we've got decked out for this comp. So I think it's an old West Coaster. So we're going to be set. Plenty of deck space, mate, to pull up my 1,000-pound blue that I'm going to get win the comp. So
we'll see. Should be a fun weekend. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Should we get into the listener questions? Because that was
real quick. I just want to give a shout out to the guys at Daiwa because speaking of listener questions, they had their film premiere of the new film on the Certate. That was a sick turnout. So props to all you Perth crew that turned up. But mate, the guys that put that on, Brett Habener, he made that film, edited it, coloured it. He's the marketing guy from Daiwa. Like props to Brett because that film was incredible.
Yeah,
it's out on YouTube now. You guys should go and check it out. It basically follows the journey of the new Certate and a couple of anglers. I think there's a fella that fishes for kingfish over in Japan. Briggsy and Brooksy is an amazing film, but heaps of crew coming up and saying they'd listen to the podcast and stuff like that too. So good to meet a few crew out in the wild. But
get on YouTube and give it a shout if you haven't watched it.
Speaking of Daiwa, let's get into these listener questions. You hit it off first, Lecca.
Yeah, so
here we go.
These are for you, Jono, by the way, the listener questions.
So mate, I reckon this is as good a response to listener questions as we've had. So it's either you or the good Daiwa prize pack that we give away that has got everyone.
This one is a line and leader pack from Daiwa. So the best question, Jono, you're going to help us pick a question and we're going to send out a line and leader pack to the person that asked the question. So
we might ask a few more questions with this one because there's so many, and we'll pick the winner at the end. So this one is from Blake Eden 06. When scoping and have follows, but you're not converting, what do you change?
Well, they're showing interest to the lure, so you can run that lure, you can slow it down, you stay consistent is the biggest thing. So you keep that wind speed the same and follow it around, and he'll eventually take the nib.
So just if you're
persistence and consistency, really.
Yeah. So that is a good tip. All right. What you said straight away is they're showing interest in the lure.
Yeah.
So just fucking keep hammering.
Yeah, keep hammering. Yeah, they will. But yeah, I've had sessions like that. They'll just keep following. They won't actually commit. So they're interested, but it's not.
Will you find that you go back to the same spot another day and you'll have a completely different reaction?
Yep, 100%.
So just keep trying.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. What do we got here? Scotty Tomo, you can choose one lure in the creeks and one lure in the blue water. Oh, hang on. In the dry season. If you can. Fuck, I've butchered this question.
Scotty, great question.
Yeah. No, we'll skip that one. All right. What's your go-to combo gear for Barra? Jackson, Statham?
I run the Conquest 300, which is a bit of a bigger reel. But yeah, I usually run Irriganji, Black Snake, and a Conquest for the bigger Barra. I think I run like 80-pound leader and usually 40-pound braid. So
yep.
Pretty
80
simple.
80-pound leader.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes more. Depends.
Is there a heartbreak story with smaller pound leader? I've been done by 60 a couple of times.
Yeah, I have. I got done by 60. It was end of last year actually, same thing. I thought I'd run a little bit lighter because you get a better retrieval with the lure. You can feel a little bit better. And yeah, straight into the mangroves and snap me off would have been, 110 plus.
Yep. Yeah, 80-pound. All right. That's a good tip. All right. Maxie's out fishing. Should I properly check the battery charger before driving all the way to the Fitzroy?
Yeah, that's another story of Maxie.
Yeah, I'll throw him under the bus.
Yeah, drove 2 hours to the river and put the boat in and put the Minn Kota in and the Livescope pole, and we cruised down the river and he goes, "Oh, my battery's playing up." And I've kind of looked at him and I've looked at the screen and it's like sitting on 10.5 volts.
Yeah, which is low.
Yeah, which is real low. I was like, "Mate, that ain't your sounder playing up. That's your battery."
Yeah.
And then, he hadn't charged the battery properly. So
so it's not charging off the alternator of your boat?
No, everything's standalone in the tinnies usually. Mate. So he runs like a little portable setup as well. So
mine's the same. So I charge mine off 240 volt power, and truth be told, I actually went to put the Lecca in yesterday with Goatman and I'd done the exact same thing. So I'm not much better.
Yeah, but so that story gets worse too. We're coming back to the ramp because we've given up. And then, he's taken his pole off and dropped his ram mount in the water, which is...
Yeah, you were saying
Maxie's good for a fuck up.
I've got one here, Leg, a real good one. So this is Aidan Dobelman. What's your words of advice for reading a creek system? This is a really good question. So I think what Aidan's saying here is if you're rocking up to a creek, what are a few things that you're looking for a likely spot you're going to catch a fish? Yeah,
number one thing for me is bait. You got to find the bait. And then obviously your structure, but creeks are a little bit different to the river. My understanding is creeks are more tidal for us.
Yeah.
So usually working with the tide and work out with the tide, or just find the bait and just pepper them.
How are you finding a fish stationing up when the tide is flowing? Out of curiosity.
The angle you're sitting into the snag, so your pole won't read behind a snag.
Yeah.
So you got to come in from the behind.
Yeah.
They're usually sitting into the current as well. So kind of where you put yourself and.
Right. So you're casting down current and then retrieving with the current. So as if the bait fish is coming in with the flow of the current.
I like to make everything as natural as possible. So I'd retrieve.
With the flow.
Yep.
Gotcha. Got any more, Leg?
Oh, I've got one here. I feel like you might know Ben Lai. Jono, tell us about big fish close to the boat. I hear you don't mind a bit of free spool.
Yeah. Old Benny Lai.
Is that a stitch up?
Yeah, a little bit. I picked up a pretty bad habit. Usually fishing by myself or with the missus. She's on the net and I'm just trying to get everything working, and I picked up this bad habit that I'd free spool the big fish at the boat just so you could grab the net or you could help her or whatever. But the one time I didn't free spool, snapped off a big fish, and he fed me about it for a bit.
Oh, no.
Nothing like a mate. And your mates are getting fish at the moment, eh? You're itching to get back up there.
Yeah. A few of my mates have got a few over the dollar, which is good. So, and they reckon it's firing. So, Tommy Watts, he moved down here for a year, and he was the same thing. He was scratching an inch to get back up north, and he finally moved back up, and he's just been slaying them this year.
Yeah, wicked. All right. Best tips to set up the Garmin Livescope and best time and tide to chase big local barramundi. Brady Kirkwood.
Yeah, well, it depends where you are, mate, because,
For where you are, best tips on setting up a Garmin and best time and tide to chase big local barramundi. So
he said here LVS34 with his Garmin, so best time tip to set up a Garmin LVS34.
Yeah. So
what is that?
That's just a live transducer, really.
Gotcha.
I run everything pretty black and white. Like I said, I have the transducer at the front. I set it up before I get in the water and then kind of run it 300 mil below the surface, cruise around the electric and just use the electric to advantage. You know, you don't have to be on the pole flat out. If you're running a shallow river or creek, you can just move your boat around and just patrol, just search it. And you know, just the simple things like bait, sneak up to the bait, see what they're doing. Are they getting spooked? Are they hugging the bank? Pepper that area because fish will rock up, you know.
Yeah, so if you find an area with heaps of bait, you'll stay there and wait for the fish?
Generally, yeah. You sit off the bait and you'll see the big fish come in.
Yep.
And, stalking. It's what they do. They can pick up the bait. They know what the bait's doing. They know where the bait are. They'll sit on them for a whole tide or, you know, wait for that tide to push them over a sandbar. Then they'll just come in and.
Your Minn Kota is a really important part of your fishing puzzle then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a huge one for me.
Yeah.
Do you have a water temperature preferred sort of temp for up that way?
Yeah, in the 30s usually. Yep, our water gets super hot. I've actually been in the water when it's creeping up 40 degrees, which is real hot.
Yep. See Roy, does he measure his barra or guess the measurement?
That's a mate, isn't it?
Yeah, see, I do a lot of fishing with Charlie. He's a legend. He's just stitching me up. He's the one that actually pulled up onto the bank with me and was yelling out Birchie when it actually wasn't Birchie. So
you asked the same question when we had Birchie in, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah.
Birchie's the king at guessing.
I don't know whether you've got the best mates ever or the worst mates ever, because I'm like the hardest part about picking a listener question here is sifting through the ones that are piss takes.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of them.
Bailey Pratt, do you prefer to fish the build up or the runoff around Derby?
I think Bailey comes up a fair bit. I do the runoff. The runoff is best time for me, that April, May.
Yep.
Starts to get a little bit cooler. You know, the rivers could still be flowing clear. So it's just a nicer time to fish.
Wait, well, that's a heap of questions.
Yep.
Now we got to pick one.
All right, I'll ask one more actually. I've got Dylan Hogan here. Three key tips on lure placement and retrieve rates chasing the Big Barra. Big fan, mate, as well. No, but so I think for the listeners that are just getting into it, for Big Barra, sounds like Dylan hasn't got a Big Barra before, so
well, has he?
I do a lot of fishing with Dylan as well.
Yeah. But I think it is a good question. So for someone getting into scoping, and if they're just chasing big fish, which is what you're bloody good at catching, 3 tips on lure placement and retrieve, and lure style. So just give us 3 tips.
I like to cast over the fish and then bring it in slowly behind them or over the top of their head or in line with them. Like I said, you got to keep that consistency with the lure. You don't want to. I don't generally jig or pop the lure or anything like that. I feel like the trebles and the swivels, they'll make like an unnatural sound.
Yep.
But just generally just consistent, keep that lure at the same height as the fish and they will roll. Yeah, they'll just smash it.
Wicked.
Keep it natural.
All right. You got a favourite one of there, Rothy, or what?
Man, that last one was actually a pretty good question.
It was a good question.
I like that first one. That's why I picked it. Words of advice for reading a creek system. It was probably a little bit more of a simplified answer than what Aidan thought he was going to get. That was from Aidan Dobleman, but I think it's a really good question.
He's the winner.
Reading, learning how to read a system or even a spot, whether it's out in the ocean or it's a river, that is a skill that people probably, that are getting into fishing probably undercook a little bit. They probably don't realise that is a key skill to have. And if you can do that, you're kind of halfway there. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm go with that. And I reckon we've got lots of little tips as well off Jono, like find where the bait is, all that sort of stuff that have sort of come out, which you could see that's something that you're pretty good at. You spend a lot of time on the water and just naturally being able to read a system. You probably don't even realise that you're doing it anymore, but that's just, I reckon that's a wicked tip, question. So
I've got a quick one actually. It's quite funny because Dylan put in that question because we were sitting on the Pentecost, and I don't know what I was doing. I had a prawn on. I was like, these things aren't working. I don't know what the rave is and the hype about them. And I put my rod down, and he's picked it up, my combo, my lure, first cast, straight on this fish, slow wind, 107.
No way.
Yeah, I've got the video.
What was he throwing? A mega prawn or something?
Yeah, it was an Irriganji mega prawn, but that's why he's asking it, because he thinks he knows.
He's the guru.
Yeah, he's the guru.
Yeah.
You couldn't make that shit up. It was first cast. It was.
What size prawn was it?
I think it was a 6.5.
Yeah, okay, because we were throwing the Daiwa prawns up there.
Yeah,
no joy.
Yeah,
the Queensland boys love them. Irriganji mega prawns, and they obviously smash them. So yeah, I've had a little bit of luck, but nothing like what Dill just did first.
That's like bragging rights forever. It's
that's why I said.
Whenever you pick a rod up, you're like, "Hey, you want me to show you how to use
that?" The magic touch.
Should be calling him and getting him on the mic.
Might have to. I reckon. Who was that? Ask that question.
That was Aiden Dobleman. So, mate, we are going to send you a little prize pack. I'll reach out to you via DM. Thanks to Daiwa for the line and leader for you, mate. So you probably won't have to buy your line and leader for another year.
Good stuff. Keep them coming.
So thanks to Daiwa for looking after the listeners there.
Wicked. All right. So before we move into the Quickfire, to wrap this thing up, mate, wood duck story. Now, being from around Derby, having tides, all that sort of stuff, surely you have got a good fuck up story.
How long have we got?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
This one's a cracker. It was more of a joint effort, but we head up 180 nautical miles up to the Walcott Inlet every now and then, which is
mate, I would love to go up there.
Oh, it's a cracking spot. We've done it a few times with my mate Tommy Rutherford. He's a bit of a maniac. He's from Darwin, and we've set out. We usually go for 4 or 5 nights. It's a big trip. It's one day on the boat and then one day back. So you're dodging and weaving through all the islands and stuff. And we
can't drive in there anymore, eh?
Oh, there's an exclusion zone at the front.
Yeah. But
down the back, the Sharnley and the end of the old Munger truck, I think Birchie truck.
Munger, yeah.
Yeah. So it was around that area. But it was funny because we set out on this big trip. We're fully loaded with fuel and people and eskies and piss, and we were fully loaded.
Yeah.
And we got into the Walcott, as you're flaring, you're happy, you're excited, you're full of piss.
Flaring's the word.
And we were fully loaded, so the boat's struggling as it is, and we're manoeuvring our way down the back of the Sharnley, and we were like, "Fuck, there's a rock bar somewhere here." And surely enough, Tommy Rutherford's hit it at about 30 knots. And we've come to a bit of a stop, and he's trimmed up the motor, and I'm looking at the back. I'm like, he has like an old, what are they called? They're a big long banana boat. I forgot what they're called. Fiberglass thing.
Oh, I know the one. One of my neighbours has got one. They're pretty popular in California and that.
Yeah, huge big cast deck on it. It was a wicked boat, wet as fuck, but it was wicked. And I've jumped down the back of the boat, and he's trimming up, and I've gone, nah, nothing. And he's gone, oh, sick, like, cool, nothing. I'm like, nah, there's no leg. He snapped shit clean off from the leg, and we're 180 nautical miles from.
Fuck off.
So
Holy
it gets worse.
crap.
So we were with another boat, luckily.
Sorry, 180 nautical mile by boat?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long way.
That's like over 300K.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No leg.
You've got to fuel up on the way there near Coolan Island, and then you've got to keep going. But it's a long trip. Anyway, it gets worse. We'd anchored up. We were kind of thinking what we should do. There was another boat with us. We got on the sat phone, and my mate Mitchie Castellaran, he was a boat mechanic in town. He called one of his mates, and he's like, "Can you get a leg for us and fly it up to one of the islands, to the mine sites?" And anyway, they found a leg, and they got it wrapped up and flown to Cockatoo Island. So the boys had to go back to Cockatoo, which is about halfway. So it's about 90 mile back. They've picked the leg up, fueled up again. They've come back, and we've beached the boat, and we got it all ready, and had all the tools, and everyone was flaring again. And then we go to put the shaft in, and the shaft's too long. So we've just spent fucking a grundy on freight to get this thing here.
No.
And so we weren't flaring after that, but we had to tow back to Cygnet Bay, which was
that's a long way back.
Yeah, that was a 24-hour tow. So that's a major.
And trip over.
Yeah, trip. Oh, we stayed there stayed there an extra day, but I think
all the piss and
actually Searoy got a few meteries off the boat. Just
really,
stationary.
Yeah, just stationary, no scope, no nothing. He was just flicking lures, and they had some magic spot. But yeah, the trip was over.
Yeah. That is a royal fuck up,
mate. 180 nautical miles to fucking lose a leg.
So for anyone that doesn't know what a leg is, if you're a land-based fisherman not been around boats, it's pretty much the whole bottom half of your outboard.
Sheared completely off, gone.
Just gone.
It was just funny because I was
lucky no one got hurt, eh?
Yeah, and he actually put a puncture through his boat, but this fiberglass thing was just such a tank. It floated the whole way home.
Yep.
But it was just funny. I was leaning over the back saying, nah, nothing. He was thinking, nah, no damage.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, nah, there's nothing there.
Oh, fuck,
God,
that's funny.
That might be one of the better ones.
Yeah, that's a ripper. Yeah, that's the sort of shit that happens to these guys that live up in the Kimberley, though. You don't know those fucking sort of missions.
You fish for long enough and you put enough time in, you're going to have a fuck up.
That ain't his first leg either, let me tell you. He's done a fair few,
yeah. Nath had a couple of mates that bloody got injured pretty badly on
I heard about that. His old boss, Samps.
Went flying into the water after hitting something.
Yeah, that's
one thing you probably have to worry about as well, is if you're up in those creeks, if you go into a creek at a high tide on the way out, if you're coming out on a lower tide, you got to worry about those bombies, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Lure of fame. So we got a bit of a wall of fame. We got to get you to send a lure down. I see you got a hat there that you're going to donate, that might get donated to my head because that's a wicked looking hat. So we'll get you to send a lure down. We're going to put in the wall, but we'll finish this thing with Quickfire, mate. So first thing that pop into your head, fire away. So top 3 eating fish.
Barra, thready, and bluebone.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Daiwa or Shimano?
I'm a bit of a Daiwa fan now.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the go. For a Barra fisherman, I feel like that's a win for Daiwa as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had a Tertullian that I sent away, and
that's a left-hander. But
that's the new Ryoga.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's wicked, eh?
Does it have the little clicker on the?
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
Nice.
Very nice with that Ryoga.
Yep. That's what we'll be putting on our rods, I reckon, next time we go fishing, Rothy. All right. One lure for the rest of your life.
Raptor fizzer.
Yep. Fuck yeah. That's wicked for barra fishing. I'm gonna try that
too.
Yeah, I like that. Best boat snack.
I'm Shapes, man. Arnott Shapes.
What flavour?
Yeah, this is the
chicken crimpy.
Oh, you had me until chicken
crimpy. I thought you were going to say barbecue. We're big advocates for barbecue shapes.
Barbecue. Chicken crimpy's for kids.
We should hit up Arnott's to sponsor this potty.
That's a kid snack.
But you can chuck them in the live bait tank. You can do anything with them. You can pull them out 3 months later. They're all good to go.
Yeah, they're full of preservatives.
Yeah.
Bucket list fishing destination.
I would like to catch a Nile perch on the Nile.
Yeah, giant barra.
Pretty much just a giant barra, yeah. But I've always had interest in them since a kid.
There's another fishing podcast based out of America with Andy and Nikki Mill called the Millhouse Podcast, and I can't remember who it was, but they interviewed a guy that fished the Nile. This guy had fished everywhere, and he basically went over to the Nile to try and catch Nile perch. And at the time, back in I think it was like the 70s or 80s, no one was guiding there, so you couldn't go and just hire a guy to take you. And he pretty much paid a guy to take him out on his boat. And the guy couldn't get him a Nile perch, so he basically just said, "I'll give you a boat, go and catch one." And yeah, he talks about that fishery. Basically, what I'm alluding to is it sounds like a mental.
Yeah, well, if you get 3 blokes to hold up a barra looking fish, that's huge.
Huge.
Papua New Guinea, they get big barra as well.
Yeah, that's bycatch as well.
Yeah, they're going for the black bass.
Yeah.
All right. If you could have a beer with any fisho, dead or alive, who would it be?
Just really my mates, actually, to be honest. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my mates, they make it for me. So, old Rexy Hunt would be all right too, though.
Yeah,
Rexy. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with Rexy.
I like that answer. Just go and have a beer with your mates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got good mates with the stitch ups with the questions.
Oh, anyway. Mate, you'd have to put phones in the glove box type thing. Like.
Any advice for a young fisherman getting into it? What is it?
Just have fun with it, really. Don't worry about catching fish. Just get out there and learn.
Have fun.
That's what it's really about. At the end of the day, it's exhilarating. It's fun. You do want to catch fish, but it's not always about catching fish. It's about getting out and getting off that iPad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, mate. That Kununurra trip that we just did was perfect summary of that. You know, we went up there to catch fish, and it sucked that, you know, it took a while for us to catch fish, but all the shit that happened in between was just.
You've never been up that way before, have you?
Nah.
Oh, so it just would have been, yeah.
Mate, my mind was blown the whole time. It's like being in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, you don't even feel like you're in Australia when you're in them places. It's just like, it's just so full on. There's so much going on. Yeah. Everyone's friendly and
I like that answer as well from someone that catches shitloads of meteries, which a kid could sit there and go, oh, fuck, it's easy for you to talk because you've catch 120s, you're getting, you know, lots of 110s, but it's like you are somewhat underground. You're out there, you're doing it you're challenging yourself and you're going out fishing and you're doing that for yourself, but you fish because you love it.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I've been around it my whole life, the rivers and stuff. It's just something I do and I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
We're going to have to get up there and it's an area that I love coming up and fishing. So next time I'm up, I'm going to sing you a text message and hopefully we can get out on the water together.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Thanks heaps for coming on, dude. That was wicked. Bit of a spare of the moment thing. Short notice. Probably weren't expecting to be sitting in front of a microphone today, but
a bit out of my comfort zone. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been good.
Good on you, man. You did really well. So cool. Tall tales.
Yo.
See you on the next one.
Thanks, mate.